I really, really believe that God sent us to Discovery Mill today for a reason, because there were people there that we came across that they were just, okay, because we came across this lady, and when we met her, she was actually reading her Bible, and she was jotting down something. So we just walked up to her, and we told her that we wanted to, basically that we were coming from Fusion, and we wanted to basically pray for her because we're walking around and showing the love of Jesus and praying for people around us. And we asked her if she had anything for us to pray for, and she basically said pray for anything. It was amazing to her because she was just writing down her thoughts to God at the time when we approached her. So she was just telling God that did you send these people to me, And so when we prayed with her, and then we met another lady who was just sitting there too. And then when we were talking to her, she was like, "Well, I was just thinking about how I have to get more committed to God, So please pray for my commitment, for better commitment to God." So I think that God sent us to Discover Mills tonight for a reason. Because there were a lot of people out there that needed it.
That's good.
And I was around that back section near Bass Pro Shop and Sun and Ski Shop. And I was coming around that corner where the Humane Society is at, and it was like the presence of the Lord was so heavy over there. I had to check myself because people were looking at me like I was crazy. I was going. I was hitting my leg and I was praying. And somebody walked by me looking at me. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in public." Okay. And I just felt like God said, restored, restoration. And I was like, "God, what does that mean?" He said, everything we're doing, these people we're praying for, this area that we're in, families are going to get restored from the prayers that are going up in that place. And I came around and I saw Melissa and Sydney praying for a mother, and her child was right there, and I was just like, "God, you're so amazing." I ran into them, and then as I'm walking more and I'm seeing everybody praying for other people, I'm like, "Man, God, you are so freaking cool." Just restoration, just absolute restoration. I mean, the prayers that we're sending up, it's Thursday night. We're praying over this land. We're praying over every step. But we're sending up prayers. I especially was praying when I was walking by Spencer's, because there's some strange stuff in there. And then I got the vision of all these teenagers are going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be impacted by those prayers that we said.
Yes. Amen.
So I thought it was very cool. Very cool. So that's what I got. Oh, and I prayed for a lady in a wheelchair as I was trying to cut through the... Yes. The bookstore. I walked by her. She was in her wheelchair. She was kind of bent up, and she didn't speak a lick of English. I said, "Can I pray for you?" She was like... I was like... And then she pointed to somebody. I was like, "Prayer?" She was like... I was like, "Prayer?" Okay, and then I just touched her and I prayed for her, and they were all very thankful. I didn't throw any Spanish.
Even in the no's, we got a no, and he was like, "No." And we're like, "Dude." He's like, "Yeah." And it may have been a hard issue for him, but he said no, flat out, "No, I've got my own prayers." And it was like, okay, you just sealed in our hearts that we had to talk.
Kristen and I walked around, and what we were really praying over the mall and the place and the entity. And what we looked at was that the way that the stores are aligned, that there's furniture stores, and then there's also mattress stores. And I just told her that it was so ironic that these are so many things that are used against God's will, but they're set up to be so great for God. The beds, for example, where there's so many unholy beds that praying, and you don't know where those mattresses are going to go, but just to pray over them and pray that they're kept holy, and that they would end up in God's home, and they would be held holy and high. So we kind of prayed over that, and then there was a furniture store there, and I was just looking at it and hoping that it would go into a home where they would appreciate it and be able to use it to relax from doing God's work, but they would also be able to share love and family and so many things that we don't get from.
When I was walking, and there was just 3 guys sitting on this bench, and I was like, "Well, let me at least go ahead and try to talk to them before they leave." And I, stuck my hand out for the first guy, and he walked away. And I said, "Okay, well, we got 2 more." And I stuck my hand out for the second guy. I said, "Hey, my name's Avery." And he was like, "My name's so-and-so." And I reached for the second guy, my name's Avery. And he went. And I thought he didn't hear me, so I just said it again. I was like, my name's Avery. It didn't hit me that this cat don't speak English. And so that's when Kevin came over. She was like, ¿Cómo te llamo? I was like, oh, Spanish. That's right. And so we have this conversation that only two people who don't speak the same language can have. And it's like, Avery. Avery? And he's like, and somewhere in there we figured out his name was Miguel. And he wanted to know what we wanted. And so I said, since I've forgotten how to say, can I pray for you? And so I just said, can I pray for you? And he went, and he was just kind of looking, and we had this back and forth conversation. And finally, I was like, okay, 6th grade Spanish. ¿Cómo se dice? That'll get you anywhere you need to get. I was like, ¿Cómo se dice? Must have been, looking at Alicia. ¿Cómo se dice? And he said what it was, but I still couldn't pick it up, so I was just like, that. Can I, that? Right there. And he was just like, ¿por qué? And it was just like, whatever. Everybody knows what that means, whatever. And so he said, basically, are you Catholic? He was like, are you Catholic? I picked up on that one. And I said, no, Christian. And he was like, Christian. Oh, well, me no Christian. I was like, it's okay. He said, it's okay? I said, it's okay. And so he was like, okay. And so I get ready to pray for him. And I noticed the other two are like slowly, they making their way backing up. So I trying to reach. I got him, so he ain't going nowhere. So I tried to pull this guy in, and I started the whole conversation over. I was like, prayer, like he didn't just see the whole thing happen. And he sees me struggling, and he's struggling, and finally he says, okay. And he reaches and he grabs my hands, and we just start praying, and then I realized I'm going to be praying for this guy. He has no clue what I'm saying. So that's why I was like, Jesus, I just ask you to bless him, Father. Gracias, Señor. Gracias, Señor. And he was like, yes. We're like, sí. And so I pray for him, and at the end of the prayer, I say, amen. In the nombre de Jesus. And he was like, amen. And so it was a very interesting time. And so one of the things I prayed is that, God, I just pray that this prayer goes past what my mouth can say and connects with his heart in some kind of way. And I hope it did.
And it's funny, I think one of the things for me was that there was a photo place where people would go and take photos and that kind of thing. And it was interesting because they had like a lot of examples of what the kind of photos that they take. And it was interesting. My take on it was that I was seeing a lot of these photos, and a lot of them are really inappropriate for the girls that are in the photos, and they have their names on them. And I was like, you know what, God, let's just pray for these girls that are in the photos that, they would know their worth and know who they are and not be deceived by the enemy to think that they're anything but king's kids and daughters of the Most High God. And as I was saying, and it was like, and it almost kind of welled me up, and then this pregnant lady came out, and we were like, and she was just like, you could tell she was so happy. And it was just one of those things where it's like, wow, everything happens, and it's like it's crazy because the photos are in the front of like this, but like the back is like sealed off, and I was like, that's a little random. Yeah. And it seems like darkness a little bit, and so I was like, you know what? I just pray that all of the people in these pictures would know the Lord thy God, and that this place from now on, that these pictures are right, and that the girls that go into this place know that they're valuable and worthy, and it's not about what they look like or who told them this or who
For
told
me,
them that.
it felt personally like we were ministering to the homeless people, and because I've never been in that position, I felt kind of like we were like this, and like we were kind of talking like this. And so today when we walked to the mall, it was like we're talking to people who are like this now, like we're equal now. So now we're up against ourselves, and it's like we were praying, and like it was very awkward. And so God was telling me, sometimes I would pray, and God would be like, say this, and I'd be like, no. And so I'd be at a loss for words, and then sometimes I just let him go, and I just let him,